ready lift, put the control arm kit, spacer for the coilover, and a spacer for the lower control arm is installed. And that's what the truck looks like afterwards. So now we need to do an alignment. And you're probably wondering, well, how do you do an alignment yourself? Okay, now I've been self-aligning vehicles for about, I'd say 20 years now. And I have used machines, I have used string machines, I've used lasers, I have used bubble machines, and the same goes for every machine, okay? Which straight is straight. All right, now, some vehicles you want to look out for because sometimes the rear axle will be sitting in on both sides because it's actually shorter, Chevys. But for the most part, the wheels are in line with each other. So how do I do the alignment? Well, I take the sidewall of the rear tire and I eclipse it with this vehicle here. So if you look down the side of the vehicle, you can see the sidewall, the front and back of the sidewall there. And this is for the axles that are shorter in the rear, okay? Now, you basically, and if it helps, put a light on that tire. And you'll see the sidewalls start to eclipse each other and come into alignment. And that'll tell you if the axle's set in or not. Now, when you do a leveling kit, like I did with this one, when you raise the suspension, it tucks it in, okay? So it'll either tuck it in 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and I've even seen them be offset to about 3/4 inch. So depending on what lift and what vehicle it is, it can tuck these wheels inside further, and that will throw your alignment off. So how do I do an alignment? First, I back the vehicle up, I get the wheel straight, and I roll the vehicle forward just ever so slightly, making sure that the wheel is center, okay? It is center, it's level, and that's it. I make sure I'm a flat surface. Sometimes when I'm on a test drive, I gotta do fine tweaks. I'll use a parking lot, and I'll just roll back and forth with the steering wheel level where I want it, and then shut it off, get out of the vehicle, and make your adjustments. Now, I'll come to the front of the vehicle, and I'll take this front tire, and you see how it starts to eclipse the rear tire? Right about there. That's it. You can still see that the front of this tire here is towed in as viewed from the front. So the wheel is actually turned into each other. So they're fighting. They're actually, I guess you would call it pigeon-toed. And when you roll forward, you get that feathering wear on your tire. So what I'll do is I'll zero it out, and the closer you have this to zero, like if you had this sidewall, the front of this tire, the front portion of the sidewall, directly in line with the rear to the rear tires, what'll happen is the steering wheel will have a floating sensation. Okay, it won't be as tight. All right, and the vehicle won't feel as nimble. Now, you'll have virtually no alignment wear on your tire. However, you get a looser feeling of the vehicle. Now, when you go to places like Goodyear, Conrad's, just to name a couple, and what they'll do is they'll put on the machine, and the machine has a spec sheet of where your vehicle needs to be. Now, it might be -10, it might be -5, -10, +10, +5. It depends on if it's four-wheel drive, if it's solid axle, independent suspension, two-wheel drive, and where the engine is located. Okay, all that is taken into consideration. Now, for a 4x4, I try and get it a little bit to where it's towed out in the front, because when you kick it in four-wheel drive system, all-wheel drive, let's say all-wheel drive, I'd tow them out a little bit, because the wheels will actually pull forward and try and tow in. On two-wheel drive, I'll tow them in because they'll naturally drift out. So where would I put this? It's four-wheel drive. The axle is tucked in. However, this offset here with the lift kit is actually making it in line. So what I'll do is I'll eclipse that this front tire with the rear, and it's about a half an inch. Okay, it's about a half an inch. So what I'll do is I'll unscrew that. I have it marked. I'll unscrew it one full turn and see where that puts me. Now, I would like this vehicle to have about an eighth right there to about a quarter right there. Right now it's about a half. So I want it about a quarter or an eighth. And that's how I do my alignments. What that does is, because it's towed in a little bit, it'll actually give the driver a tighter feel for the vehicle, all right? It'll give it like that stock tight feeling. And that's about it. That's how I do my alignments. Now, when it comes to caster, you know, you got your forward and leaning of the tires viewed from the side, and you got your camber, which is the top leaning outward or top leaning inward as viewed from the front of the tire. That's your camber. Now, to set those, basically what I would do is I would get a bubble level and I would put it on the wheel. Okay? Make sure you hit the rim and your rim is not dented and it is flat and doesn't have a wobble to it, because when you put your level on the rim, you want to make sure that rim is actually flat, because if it isn't, it'll throw off your readings. And as for the caster goes, what I'll do is I'll actually take the upper and lower ball joint. I'll run a center line through it with a piece of string and measure the offset. It's a lot of work, but it can be done. So that's how I do my alignments, and they've worked out good so far. I've never had an issue, never had a comeback. And I virtually, all the vehicles that I've done alignment on, they have very, very good tire wear. So, and actually, I've had people tell me that they are experiencing less wear on the tires from before, because, you know, people can tell, you know, they know what's happening to their vehicle. So that's what I do, and hope that helps someone out there. And if you like it, how I described it, how I did my alignments, please hit the like button. That helps me. It helps me create new content. And if you want to, comment. If you got questions, comment. If you want to ask me a question, comment. I'll answer you. I like answering. So, till next time, go blow a gear in someone's ear, all right?